Hey everyone, Stephanie Robilio here, licensed clinical social worker, published author, and the chief clinical officer at Agape Behavioral Healthcare, and you are tuning into the Stephanie Robilio podcast, your go-to resource for transforming your mental health and overall wellness. Hi, beautiful ones. As always, thank you so much for making the space to be here with me today. Today, we are going to dive into happiness, specifically how to be happy regardless what's happening outside of you. And major shout out to my husband. He's the reason why I am recording this episode. This morning, we were sitting there talking, and we are here in South Florida. And obviously, if you're paying attention to the news, then you've seen that we might be getting hit with a hurricane. And apparently hurricanes can cause early labor. And I am 9 months pregnant, expecting a little girl, really any day, any week now. And so we were talking about that and how we should probably have a plan just in case. And as we were talking, it was like, I have a choice. I can either sit here and feel attached to wanting things to go and be a certain way, or I can stay aligned with my true self, connected to my heart, grounded in the present moment, releasing all attachments, releasing all control, and remembering that regardless if a hurricane comes and causes my birth experience to be maybe different than I have imagined it, I can still choose to be happy. And my husband looked at me and he's like, you really need to talk about this. Like, this is something that we need to talk more about. And it's not specifically to women who are pregnant, expecting. I think that this really applies to all of us, that most people, if we're honest, we have gone through our life at some point or other where our happiness has really depended on what's happening outside of us, right? So for example, I can be happy if everybody at work is this way. I can feel better if this. I will feel better if that, right? Placing all these conditions on our emotional way of being, as opposed to claiming and affirming, I am happy because I choose to be happy and I can maintain my happiness regardless of what's happening in the outside world. I'm not here to talk specifically about being happy in a hurricane or being happy if your birth plan doesn't go as planned, right? I'm just using this as examples of why this topic specifically came up for me today, because the reality is I could sit here and come up with a handful of reasons to feel stressed. And we know that by thought alone, I can actually activate stress. Just like for you could activate your own stress by thought alone. But why would we purposely think about scenarios that are going to cause us stress, right? Think about that. Why would we purposely think about scenarios that are going to cause us stress? It really makes no sense. And my wish for you all is that you get to that place in your journey where you realize you have the ability to choose how you want to feel. You have the ability to guide your thoughts in a direction that is going to serve and support you, to guide your thoughts in a direction that is going to support you in feeling good, right? I often say it, but I'm going to say it again. Wherever you place your attention, you give energy to, and whatever you give energy to, that will be your experience, because energy is life. If you feed something, it's going to grow. If you starve something, well, then it's going to starve, right? So if we feed worry and we feed anxiety and we feed stress, well, then of course we're going to experience more of that. And then we probably don't have space for a lot of happiness. But on the other hand, if we feed surrender and we feed happiness and we feed peace and acceptance and understanding and love and all these elevated emotions, then we will have more space for that, right? So it's really about you all remembering that you are in charge of how you want to feel. And listen, I get it firsthand. Is it difficult to stay in a place of feeling happy, especially when the world outside of us feels chaotic? 100%, 100%. Yes, it can be really, really hard. But here's the deal. We know that happiness is so much more than just feeling good. It's really this deep sense of well-being. It's truly something that comes from the inside out, and it's a way of life. It's a way of being. It's not just waking up and saying, oh, I guess I'll be happy today. No, it's getting to that point where you realize you are worthy of happiness every single day as often as possible. That does not mean that you won't feel other emotions. Of course you're going to feel other emotions. You're human, right? Like, welcome to Earth, you're human. We have a lot of emotions, right? And there's something so beautiful about giving yourself the space to feel all of your emotions, the ups, the downs, the forwards, the backs, all of it. But for me, and in my opinion and from my perspective, when you have happiness as a core value, this very deep part of you, no matter what you feel, you come back to happiness. Sometimes it might take a moment. Sometimes it might be 15 minutes. Sometimes it might be an hour. Sometimes it might be 2 weeks. Maybe it's longer than that. I'm not sure. But somehow, some way, you're guided back to happiness because it's a part of who you are. And so it's really about getting to that place where you know that you deserve to be happy. And we know that we can't control everything that's happening around us. The only thing we can control is how we show up and how we choose to respond to the outside world. So in my opinion, from my first lived experience, not only personally, but also working with so many clients where I've made this recommendation, I have found that mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools as it relates to being able to cultivate happiness from the inside out. And that's simply because by focusing on the present moment, it teaches you how to let go of worries about the future and how to no longer dwell on the past, right? It's really about, can you train your brain to be here in the now? And you can do this simply by taking a few moments each day just to breathe, maybe meditate. That's my go-to. I swear by meditation, even if it's just 2 to 5 minutes every morning or night, or whatever makes sense for you, and really practice paying attention to your surroundings as opposed to going through the day feeling like you have to constantly worry about what's to come, or you just replay those old memories over and over in your mind. I've been there. I lived that way for many years, and it's very difficult to feel happiness when we're constantly worried about what's to come or still upset about what happened, right? Again, we can't change what happened, and we certainly can't change what's to come. But if we choose to feel good now and we choose to be happy now, that makes us a magnet for everything that we dream of and desire, right? Happiness is such a powerful energy, and it literally makes us magnetic for what we dream of and desire. So mindfulness is amazing. And then of course, gratitude. When we practice gratitude, we're really focusing on what we have rather than what we lack. And again, if you're focusing on what you have, it makes sense that you're probably going to feel better and possibly even happy because you're focusing on things that are going well in what you have, as opposed to focusing on the areas in your life that you feel you are lacking. And just like mindfulness, gratitude is also a very powerful tool that can also make you a magnet for what it is that you desire. Because when you're living in a state of gratitude, you are so elevated. And when you're elevated, you are naturally going to be drawn to who and what is meant for you. And again, it's really going through life being grateful and appreciating everything for what it is, as opposed to what you think it should be, right? One of the biggest things that steals our inner peace is going through life wanting things to be a certain way or thinking things should be a certain way. Like life owes us no explanation. Life owes us no explanation. And if you can move through life without expecting things to be a certain way, it is truly the gift of freedom. Now, you can have requirements for yourself, right? You can have standards for yourself. That's what it means to have boundaries. Knowing what's good for you and what's not good for you, who's good for you and who's not good for you. But that's very different than moving through life feeling like the only way I can be happy is if this happens. Or, in my case this morning, if I would have allowed my mind to go there, I could have very easily thought, my birth experience has to be exactly like this or else it won't be good enough. And it's like, says who? Like sometimes things happen and they happen the way they're supposed to. And from my own experience, I have found that when I release control, things work out so much better than how I thought it would. Like I think I have created so many scenarios in my head of how I want things to go, and it usually never plays out that way, but it ends up being so much better. And I'm always like, wow, thank you, God. Thank you, universe. And so there's really a lesson in all of this, right? There's so much to learn in our ability to surrender and accept our life for what it is and understand that you are in charge of you. If you want your life to feel a certain way, then make it feel that way. If you want your life to look a certain way, then make it look that way, right? Like you get to design your life. You are the author, you hold the pen, you're the painter, you hold the brush. It's all up to you. Of course, there's going to be external factors that influence us, that knock us down, like all of that, right? That's part of being a human. But our power is in our ability to bounce back, right? That's what it means to be resilient. Can you get knocked down and bounce back without coming back resentful, bitter, or jaded, right? Like life is going to happen, but how can you move through your life? And how can you move with life while having grace and compassion and an open mind and an open heart and releasing that tight grip? I often remind myself that if we go through life focusing on one thing, we miss out on everything. If we go through life with that tunnel vision, we truly miss out on the infinite, endless possibilities and opportunities that are around us every single moment of every single day. The question is not, is opportunity and possibilities present? Yes, opportunity and possibilities are present. The question is really, are you aware and are you awake to notice and to receive? Are you aware and are you awake to notice and receive, right? If you're that person going through life with your head down, tight grip, has to be your way, full control, you are missing out. You might be thinking, who am I to say you're missing out? But I can only speak from my own experience of what I have lived. And again, working with thousands of clients. When we have a tight grip on life, we create resistance. So we have this tight grip thinking it's going to help us get what we want. We actually create more of what we don't want. So loosen your grip. Loosen your grip. What's the worst that happens? Things work out for you? Like really think about it. If you loosen your grip on life, what's the worst that happens? Things work out for you. And to take it and be really literal, like we think we have control and we're holding on so tight, but let's be real. Unless there's something actually in your hand right now, like an object, a pen, a book, an iPad, a glass of water, like there's nothing to let go of. But our mind plays tricks on us. Our mind will tell us that we're in control and we can't let go, but like, what are you trying to let go of? Unless there's something actually in your hand, you have nothing to let go of. So it's really about being mindful of your thoughts. Again, where you place your attention is where you give energy to, right? Paying attention to those thoughts. Don't let your mind trick you. Do not let your mind trick you into thinking that you have to be in control and you're holding on to so much. Like oftentimes there's nothing to let go of. It's just our mind is coming up with this really funny story. And this is exactly why I wrote Unpack Your Bags. My most recent book, if you haven't read it, this is an invitation to get it. It's honestly probably the least amount of money you could spend for really, really big outcomes. It'll change your life. It's so simple and straightforward. It's like I'm sitting there next to you on a couch talking. But the whole idea is to become aware of what you think you're holding, right? Those old memories from the past, that emotional pain, and how to release it and get on the path of inner peace. Every single one of you. You deserve to experience your life with inner peace. You deserve happiness. You deserve to wake up in the morning feeling good, not only about yourself, but about what's ahead of you. No one wants to wake up with dread. No one wants to carry around stress. I've been there. It's the heaviest feeling to dread the day and feel stressed. And it is the most invigorating feeling to truly, truly move through the day with an open mind and an open heart, experiencing inner peace and being happy for what is, as opposed to what we think everything should be. It is life-changing when you can embrace that change, that your life is going to be what it is, but you have the choice to show up and feel the way you want to feel, regardless of what's happening around you. That doesn't mean you're not going to have those unpleasant feelings. Like I said earlier, of course you are. But it's about standing firm in your power and knowing that no one can take your power from you unless you give it away. No one can take your power unless you give it away. And we know that life is full of surprises. Sometimes the days are full of surprises. But when you can actually be open to change and not let it take you off your path, that is how you grow. So instead of resisting the challenges, try asking yourself, what can you learn from them? If things don't go the way you had wanted them to go, don't get upset about that. Just notice it. Well, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. What is the lesson in this? How can I be better from this? What can I learn from this, right? This simple shift in your perspective can help you feel more in control and at peace. It's very interesting. We all want to be in control, but we try to control the things that are outside of us. But imagine if you control the way you perceive things and you control the direction of your thoughts, like that's the ultimate control, right? That is the ultimate control. And then of course we know It is so important. If you are that person who you want to experience more happiness, regardless what's going on outside of you, then you have to make time for the things that you love. You have to, whether it's painting or hiking or meditating or cooking, whatever it is that lights you up, exercising, spending time with your friends, your family, whoever and whatever brings you joy and fulfillment. Make space for that. Make space for that. And that's where having boundaries, again, is really important. Have the boundary for yourself that, you know what? Maybe there's a day that you're just going to say, after 5 o'clock, I'm not working. I'm going to do what I love, even if it's for 15 minutes. Like, only you can set those boundaries for yourself, but you are in control when it comes to that, right? It can be so easy to put everyone before us, but you have to take ownership of your life. You have to reclaim your happiness, because we know that time goes by fast, and it's truly the only thing we can never get back. It's so easy to look back and say, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. But the reality is, once time passes, it passes. So don't be that person that lets your life pass you by. Live your life as it's happening. Live your life as it's happening. So let's wrap up with an affirmation. I invite you in this moment to take your left hand, place it on your heart, your right hand on top of your left. If you feel comfortable and safe, close your eyes. That's what I'm doing right now. Hands on heart, eyes closed, and say with me, I, in this moment, intentionally release the need to be in control. I release all attachments. I release all conditional thinking. And I give myself permission to be here now and to be happy in the present moment. I am so worthy and deserving of happiness. I am reclaiming my power, and I am choosing to be happy always and no matter what. Until next time, I love you all so much. Be happy. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you found today's episode to be insightful and inspiring, drop me a review so together we can help the next person, and come connect with me on social at Stephanie Robilio, and find all of my books on Amazon. Until the next episode, stay mindful and always remember the power that lives inside of you.